Hello, nice to see you again, Maria. How are you doing? I'm very glad that you are part of our Ciklopea Coffee Chat, which is our new series designed to bring to our audience interesting and insightful conversations with language professionals. You're definitely one working at the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences at the University of Osijek. So, Maria, please, can you introduce briefly yourself to our audience and tell us something about your career path in the translation industry, but also at the faculty? Thank you.
Okay, hi Zana. First of all, thank you, and I would like to thank Ciklopea for inviting me to participate in this chat. It's always a pleasure to cooperate with you. As you said, I work at the University of Osijek, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, where I'm in charge of the program in translation studies. And in this, I've actually established this program here in Osijek, and I've been teaching here for, I think it's been over 12 years now that we have the program. I teach courses in conference interpreting, so both simultaneous and consecutive, in terminology and translation technologies. So these are my areas of specialization. I'm also a freelance conference interpreter. That's my field. That's what I really like to do, and that's what I really like to teach. In terms of my career path, I actually studied in Osijek. I graduated from this university, studied English and German. And then then came the normal progression. I got my PhD. I've been in the States for a while as well, doing my dissertation, but I also worked as an interpreter.
Mhm.
I worked as an interpreter for the United Nations for 5 years here in Osijek, and
Mhm.
that's when I actually learned the trade. I trained to be a teacher of English, but then the events were such that I actually started working as an interpreter, not knowing much about interpreting at that time. So I learned this
Mhm.
by doing. I worked for the team of military observers from all over the world who were stationed here in Osijek, and every day we would have
Mhm.
meetings, and so that would be how I started started both translation and interpreting. And then I started working at the university as well. And now, as I said, I
Mhm.
train young translators and interpreters, but I also have my own company where I provide both translation and interpreting services. So very briefly, that would be my background.
Very interesting. Yes, you're very active in the industry as well, traveling, being a speaker. I have seen your name at many conferences, and that is a very positive thing to see that someone is so active with all the activities that he has on a daily basis. You still have time for your students and, of course, for your work. Um, can you tell us something more about the changes on the market? We are all uh, um, at the same level, to put it that way, when it comes to those changes, because we can all feel them, especially in this 2022. Are there any connection with those changes with the curriculum itself that you have at your faculty? Are you personally in charge of its improvement, or how do you deal with and cope with those changes at the market?
Okay, so to refer back to the first comment you made about
Mhm.
being active in the industry, I actually do try not to lose touch. So
Mhm.
only this morning I participated at a terminology conference organized by the Croatian Institute for Language and Linguistics, where we had speakers both from the European Commission, one of the terminologists working in the Croatian department. He gave a speech about Yate and their terminological work, and
Mhm.
there were some other speakers as well. And so I really try to not lose touch with what's going
Mhm.
on in the field. I also do research, and I look at what things are like in Croatia, so the Croatian market and abroad. Recently,
Mhm.
with a few colleagues from Zagreb and Osijek, we looked at the use of machine translation in Croatia, how
Mm-hmm.
widespread, how accepted it is, and what factors actually influence the adoption of machine translation and post-editing in Croatia. So these are we got some pretty interesting, some surprising results as well. So this is how I try to keep
Mm-hmm.
in line with
Keep in line,
with the
yeah.
developments. And now translating that into the curriculum is yet another story. In the academic community, we always somehow tend to lag a little behind the developments on the market because the market is driven by other factors and many financial factors, and we have certain limitations here. If you really want to teach your students the newest tools that are out there, to get licenses is not very cheap. You know that.
Yeah.
Being in the industry, you know that keeping up with these developments is costly. So what we try to do is really establish good links with the industry, trying to get academic licenses for our students, academic licenses for our trainers. And we actually are, the university is a member of several such industrial associations like GALA, for example. So we participate in their working groups, and in exchange, they allow us access, they give us free access to their resources, their webinars, and that's what we use to teach our students. When it comes to formally changing the curriculum, it takes some time because it's administration. There's
Of
a lot of
course.
red tape there. So I
Mm-hmm.
can initiate a change if I want to, if I think
Mm-hmm.
it's
Relevant,
beneficial.
yeah.
And so some 2 or 3 years ago, we introduced a course in translation technologies because we believed that this deserved a special course where students will really learn how to use some of the main tools that are out there in terms of, I don't know, computer assisted tools, but also quality assurance tools, machine translation tools, post editing procedures, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
we
really
felt
give
this was
them an
necessary.
insight, yes, into
Yes.
the.
And another course was a course in terminology, which we thought was really very relevant for them. And we thought they needed to really understand some of the basic principles of terminological work
Mm-hmm.
so that they are more cautious when they choose solutions. They don't really go for the first thing they find, but do some digging, some term mining themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that case, you need to propose this change, and we are allowed to only change 20% of our curriculum. And so if you're
Mm-hmm.
within these 20%, then you can have your new course approved, which is what we've done several times now over the past 12 years.
Yeah.
And we are very close to reaching the limit. And once you reach that limit, you should then there's no room for any amendments, for any
Mm-hmm.
changes, but you have to propose an entirely new study program. And now I think we've reached that breaking point that I think a new study program is due because in 12 years, you know that yourself, so many
Yes.
things have
So many
changed.
things have changed.
So I'm
Yes.
now trying to sort of gain courage to actually start this procedure from zero.
From zero. Oh,
Yes,
yes.
I
It
mean,
will be a
of
lot of
course,
work, but yes,
yes,
as you said,
yes.
it will happen in the
Some
future.
restructuring
Mm-hmm.
is definitely necessary to keep up with the developments on the market
Mm-hmm.
because
You
they're really
mentioned,
immense.
yes, yes, you mentioned post-editing, and so you also
Yes.
talk about that to your students. Now you said that you have some new findings on the post-editing usage in, for example,
Mhm.
Croatia. But can you share that with the people interested about it, or is it not finished yet?
We are now about to publish a paper
Mm-hmm.
on that, and I recently had a talk in Brussels, the
Mm-hmm.
Open University, Free University in Brussels. We presented these results, and we presented them in Croatia a year ago as well. And we're now finishing a paper that will be published,
Nice.
where these results will actually be presented. But
We're
the
waiting
bottom
for
line,
them, yes. We
yes,
want to see what the actual
yeah,
situation is like
we
because
will,
when it comes to post editing, at
yeah.
least what we used to hear about it when somebody mentions it, it used to have a negative sound, but now not anymore. I hope so
Not
because
so
it's a
much.
change. Yes, it's a change that
It
has
is
been
very
present.
slow. I mean, the Croatian translator
Yeah,
community slowly adopts
yeah.
this, and it's still a little bit like a controversy if
Mm-hmm.
you say you use it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think some people actually do use machine translation as one of the resources in their everyday work, and they do post edit uh, s- uh, uh, the results of machine translation as a resource. They do that for sure. Maybe they're reluctant to admit it, but it was surprising to see that the majority, that like the vast majority of the
Mm-hmm.
translation community doesn't want to have anything to do with it yet. And I think it comes
Yes.
from not really being informed well about what
It
machine
must be the main
translation can do.
reason. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Still, good to know.
sure. Yes.
Cool. So yes, when it comes to students themselves, we have been collaborating with many faculties and actually other associations as well. When it comes to internship, when it comes to uh, guest lectures that we used to have about the work at a translation company, what exactly do we offer to a potential new colleagues. We as Ciklopea are organized in a few small departments, project management team, technical team, sales and marketing team, etc. So when you enter the translation industry, you may start as a translator or as a project manager, but afterwards there are many other opportunities that our uh, we would like to say innovative industry offers to young people. So I don't know whether you talk about your students about the vast possibilities that actually they can have when they work at a translation company or at some other companies where they can use the knowledge of language. Do you have like any information about where do your ex-students go to work and how, what type of work do they prefer? It would also help translation companies to adapt and to know that information. Thanks.
Sure. Yes, we try to keep very or have very good links with the industry and with the companies, with the agencies that work here in Croatia, but not only in Croatia.
Yeah.
We attend, or my students attend, Ciklopea's webinars whenever we have the
Hmm.
opportunity. So we join in. I make them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
I
you for
push them a
that.
little
Yes, we
bit.
do have a lot of
Uh,
participants
and
from
we are
your
very
faculty.
Sure, we're very thankful for to Cyclopea for organizing these kinds of events, because that would be like the first-hand information they couldn't get anywhere
Yeah.
else. We're very appreciative of that. But there are so many webinars, you're quite aware, offered by
Hmm.
industry
Of course.
associations,
Yeah.
events like the Translating Europe Forum about to happen now in November in Brussels. We take them there as well, or we used to before the pandemic.
Hmm.
This is how we try to show them the ropes. And in terms of where they work, we actually had a little study of that. We contacted all of our
Hmm.
alumni, and they told us actually where they work, and it turned out that half of them work as teachers, and just one
Hmm.
half of them ends up in something resembling a translation
So
job.
it's 50-50.
It's 50-50, and of those 50 who do work as translators, most of them are freelancers. So the biggest population are freelancers who work for different agencies then, or for direct
Hmm.
clients themselves.
Yeah.
Only a handful of them are full-time employees somewhere where they work as translators. But what we've often organized, I actually do it every year, we organize a forum with our alumni. So for our current students, there's a forum,
Hmm.
and we use Zoom or some other
Yeah, some other
platforms.
tool, yeah.
We invite our alumni from all corners of the world to tell us what they're doing now. For our current students now to see what career paths are possible. And so they could see, last year, for example, we had people working for the Court of Auditors. We had former students who now work for Microsoft, who work for Apple, who work for some state institutions as translators or interpreters. And so we try to show them that there's more than just translation. Many of them worked as content creators.
Hmm.
They
You also
worked in
mentioned terminologist. I don't know whether you can work as a terminologist
maybe,
only, maybe, yeah.
maybe,
But definitely, yes, there are many other
yes, for
opportunities.
sure.
So it is good to know from my perspective, yes. I started
Yes.
as a translator. I have been working with clients now. Now I represent Ciklopea as a person who deals with new clients and who onboards them. Plus, we prepare content about not only our services, but about the importance of language solutions itself, and we try to publish them and to I wouldn't say attract new clients by it, but to with this perception of language and language industry and solutions themselves as being something necessary and helpful to our clients who go into new markets, and actually we follow them and help them
Sure.
overcome, yes, the burdens they deal with. So yes, cool. And when it comes to advice for young professionals, would you tell them go be a translator, or what is your perception now after many years in practice?
Well,
What are the key focus things that you would mention to them?
yeah, obviously, we train translators and interpreters. I
Yeah.
try to steer them in that direction first, but always tell them that there's more, that there is more beyond
Mm-hmm.
that, that they may spend a part of their career working as translators and interpreters and then change track and do something else. Some of them work in project management, not necessarily translation project management, but project management of any kinds of projects. And I've seen a lot of examples where they actually spent some time in translation, learned a lot about this, and or through translation learned
Mm-hmm.
about other fields, and then just changed their profession. Our students mostly actually work in subtitling. When
Mm-hmm.
I think now about our results, we have a lot of subtitlers who are active in the field, and some literary translators as well, quite productive. But I'm thinking now about what the question, what your question was. I drifted off a
Actually,
little
yes,
bit.
there are many type
Mm,
of translators, and I
yeah.
follow your faculty at Facebook, and I see that you share info about your ex-students being
Yes.
very successful as literary translators. And of course, when it comes to subtitling, it is something that is very popular in our region, given the fact that we do subtitling and that all of our media
Ah,
is actually right up.
I now
So
remember you asked me about the advice I give them.
yes, from your personal career, I guess the translation is something that you like, of course.
Yes,
That is something
this
that's
is
in your heart.
yeah, this is what I like doing most. So
Mm,
translation and teaching, or actually interpreting and teaching. And I think these go together. You know, this proverb that those who can do and those who cannot, they teach. I disagree. I
You can do
respectfully
both.
disagree. I think you can
Yes.
actually do both, and you can
Mm,
maybe, um, I don't know, this if you have this enthusiasm for your career, that you can actually transfer that to your students by showing them how things are done,
yeah.
not telling them. I'm trying to tell less and show more,
Mhm.
and by showing them how things are done, I think that's how they learn most. I also teach
Yes.
them to never trust the
Mhm.
first solution they
Mhm.
find, and never lose their curiosity. They shouldn't lose this curiosity to find out about how the world works, and only then will they be actually good translators. And to my interpreters, what I tell them is that if they fail to prepare, they have to prepare to fail, and that's that's always true. And I take them with me to actual events to see how things are done, and they appreciate being shown how things are done and not just told. And they also appreciate practical work. If you give them real
Mhm.
life examples, if you give them real life texts, if I give them something I was working on a week ago, and so it's really fresh information, and the kinds of texts that translators now work on, they very quickly realize that it's not just training material, that it's a real life thing. They appreciate that.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. It makes
Mm,
sense.
yeah.
It really makes sense. Nice. So we'll talk about something else. What can you tell to me, to somebody coming from an LSP? What are there any practical advice for us? What might we do better to help you bridge this gap between, as they like to say 10 years ago, the industry and the
Yes.
academia? I think that there is no gap anymore. I think that it's a really good cooperation, and that it's better than ever. So I don't know in what is your opinion from your side?
In my experience, I think you're right that it's better than ever. That we are both, so both sides are getting more interested in really cooperating, not just on a declarative level, but actually providing some practical opportunities, some very practical solutions. What I'm very happy about is that we managed to set up a translation practice course where translators spend 1 month, or future
Mhm.
translators, our future graduates spend 1 month in a translation agency doing everything that is simply done there, and that we managed to sign cooperation agreements that are not just for decoration, but they're
I
actually
understand. Yes, the
implemented
real
with a lot
one.
of the real ones, with a
Yeah.
lot of agencies that work in Osijek and in the region, but
Mhm.
also with Ciklopea. So it's not impossible. It's not impossible even if we are not at the same location. We are not in the
Yeah,
same part of the country. That is today very possible. And we are actually very grateful for these opportunities, because then the students can actually experience what this work is like. And I think the agencies maybe get a better idea of what graduates can and cannot do, and the kind of onboarding they still need when they join your company, when they start working for your company. Possibly also provide us with feedback on what we should do differently or better or more or less. So I think, and we've had a lot of cases of cooperation with Ciklopea in particular, but with other agencies as well, where they would actually very openly and very honestly start this exchange. And I think it helps. It helps us. I hope it helps you as well, what we are doing.
definitely.
You can always,
Yes.
of course, tell us what to do, what else to do.
Yes, but yes, as we all know, is a matter of practice and
Yes,
a few years of being focused on translation, and especially if you prioritize your work and if you specialize for a certain industry,
mhm,
then I think that you have a really nice possibility of becoming a really good and professional translator that can work as a freelancer afterwards, or can become a lead linguist at a translation company. So
sure.
I think that it's a good way, definitely, to
Yes,
see
and this
what
is
things are like.
a
Mhm.
way for you also to meet some of our graduates, and I know some of them work for you as freelancers, and so I think it has benefits for both sides.
Definitely, we are grateful for that. Thanks.
Mm.
So yes, I would like to end this conversation with
Thank you.
thank you with this. I would say a buzzword that stayed in my mind after I read the curriculum, the agenda. Sorry, the agenda of the Translating Europe Forum that will happen in a few weeks, and they were talking about accessibility, that
Okay.
actually translation and our work gives to people. So maybe you can end on that. What do you think about that? I hope you like it as well as I do. But definitely it is something that we are part of, and we are glad about it, right?
Yes, this is one of the big buzzwords now in the industry. And I think under accessibility, they also mean accessibility for the less privileged ones. Yes, on the one hand, it's translation connecting the world, or removing barriers to communication, removing barriers to understanding,
Yeah.
but also allowing for accessibility to people that have certain developmental difficulties, or certain disabilities. So in that sense also,
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to cover that topic. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
curious to hear these talks
Yeah.
in Brussels
You
in
will be there,
November,
right?
and I hope to see you there
Yes, me
as
too.
well.
Me too. Cool. Thank you very much, Maria. It has been really nice to see you online, if not in person. Hope to see you in person soon, as you said.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your methods of work, your knowledge with us, and we wish you and your department all the best in the future, of course. And that's it for now. I hope that our audience as well enjoyed our talk as much as we did. And let's keep in touch.
Thank you. Let's do that.
Bye for
Bye.
now.